Okay, these 4 books have been sitting on my shelf for so long. So I finally did it. I read the 4 oldest books on my physical TBR. And I have some thoughts, maybe some questions, mostly for past me about why I bought these in the first place. So here's the thing. We've talked about it. I have a little bit of a problem with my TBR. It's not as out of control as some people's, but it is for me. You buy a book because the cover's pretty, BookTube won't shut up about it, and it's on sale for like £3, and then it just sits there for years and it becomes part of the scenery. And these 4 specifically, they've been with me for 3 years. That's kind of embarrassing. So I set myself a challenge, no new books until I read the 4 that have been here the longest. And I'm going to give them each a verdict. Was it worth the wait? Or should past me just have not bought them? The lineup is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, Twisted Hate by Huang, A Game of Fate by Scarlett and Clair, and Neuromancer by Gibson. So we have a fantasy heist, an enemies to lovers romance, dark Greek mythology, and cyberpunk. Apparently past me like genre whiplash. On purpose. So let's start with Six of Crows. This one kind of hurts the most because I've left it so long. It's been on my shelf for the last 3 years, and I bought it as part of the duology, and I bought the King of Scars duology because it was really cheap at the works. And I kind of loved it. It's taken me so long to get to this because I insisted on reading Shadow and Bone first. I don't really feel like Shadow and Bone was for me, but this, I actually loved it. I finally read it and I'm a little bit furious at myself. It's an incredibly tight heist story. It's got characters that feel like real people, hate each other, and also would die for each other. And the pacing is just perfect. Kaz Brecker is exactly the cold, calculating little weirdo that everybody has been talking about. So overall, past me was right to buy this. Present me is a bit dumb for waiting this long, but the verdict is absolutely worth it. And I'm immediately going to read Crooked Kingdom, which I do have, straight after this. Okay, Twisted Hate, Anna Huang. This is enemies with benefits, a doctor and a lawyer who despise each other, but also can't keep their hands off each other. And this one's been sitting here again for 3 years because I bought it as the box set for the 4 of them, again from the work. So here's the thing about Twisted Hate. I get it, and I completely understand why the people love this book and the series. The banter's pretty fun, the tension's well done, and if you want the spicy romance where 2 really beautiful people are mean to each other and then not mean to each other, then this is for you. But I'm probably going to upset a few people with this one. I think I outgrew it. I think it's just been sat there, past me, thought it would be a hit, but present me, I've moved past it. I kept waiting for something more. There was the 3rd act breakup, and it just felt really manufactured. By the end of it, I feel like I was skimming it. Not because it's bad, but I felt like I'd read the dynamic before and I'd seen it done better. The verdict is, this is the right book and possibly the wrong me. If you love Anna Huang, I get it. This just wasn't my thing anymore. It does have a lot of Easter eggs towards the King of Wrath, King of Envy books as well. This is another one that I bought as a box set. I bought all of the Hades Persephone, and then I bought all the Game of Fate ones, which are specifically from Hades' point of view, around the same time that I bought Twisted Hate and the Six of Crows, the Grishaverse books. It's a retelling from Hades Persephone. It's dark fantasy romance, and again, it's been on my shelf for 3 years. I genuinely can't tell you why I acquired it. That's literally all the context I have for it. I mean, reading it was a little bit of an experience. I love the concept. The Greek mythology retellings are really, really interesting, and they're everywhere right now. And seeing the Hades Persephone story from this perspective was genuinely something I was interested in, but I just felt like the execution was really repetitive. Hades probably spends about 70% of this book with some variation of, I'm the god of the dead, and I shouldn't want her, but I do. And you kind of get a bit bored of it. I felt like it was very similar in the other books as well, that it's just really, really repetitive. The vibes are there, the aesthetics there, the pacing's just slow. And by the halfway point, I just wanted something to happen. So, verdict, it's a great premise, but it really needed an editor probably to cut it down a little bit. It is like 400 pages. Then we have Neuromancer, the book that invented cyberpunk. It was published in 1984. Gibson basically dreamed up the internet before it existed. It's the first mention of the Matrix, and therefore this book is important. It won every award. It's on every must-read before you die list. And I bought it around the same time as I bought the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, and unfortunately, I read that first. Now, reading this, I just didn't enjoy it. So, let me be fair though, I respect it enormously. The world building is incredible, the prose is dense, and it's strange and beautiful places. I can see where this really started that cyberpunk movement. And without this book, we don't get The Matrix, we don't get Cyberpunk 2077, we don't get half of the sci-fi movies that we've had in the last 40 years. But reading this in 2026, it was work. It was dense. The plot is deliberately disorientating, and he just refuses to explain anything. You're just dropped into this neon-drenched nightmare and expected to keep up, which is kind of the point. But also, I was a bit tired. The dialect, the things that were referred to, they just weren't there. So the verdict is, I'm glad I read it. I just don't think I'm going to read it again, which is a shame because it is part of a trilogy and it is getting made into a series by Apple TV. I think it goes back on the shelf as a trophy and proof that I did the thing, but I don't know if I'm going to carry on with the series. So overall, we had 2 wins, 1 disappointment, and 1 book that I respect from a distance, but it's kind of like that dangerous animal that you respect from a distance. But here's what actually mattered, I guess. Reading these 4 books taught me a lot about how my taste has changed in the last 3 years. So past me bought Six of Crows because BookTube screamed about it. I bought Twisted Hate because Romance Book Talk was obsessed. And like Game of Fate because, you know, Greek mythology retellings were everywhere. This was bought because it was a classic. I felt like I really should read it. But do you notice that pattern? 3 out of the 4 were all about hype and not what I actually like. And when I sat down to read them, all these years later, the ones that worked were the ones that actually fit me. Not BookTube, not Book Talk, not the pressure to read books, just what I genuinely enjoy. So the final verdict on this little experiment, worth it? Even the books I didn't love taught me something, and I finally got to read Six of Crows, which honestly was worth the price. If you've got books on your TBR that have been judging you for literal years, put them down in the comments. I want to know that I'm not the only one. And if you've read any of these 4, tell me if I got it right or completely wrong. I don't mind. I'm always happy to have that discussion. Don't forget to subscribe and stick the notify on if you want more sort of chaotic reading, because it felt like this was pretty chaotic. I've got a lot more TBR to get through, which includes some of the sequels of these books. Now, do I carry on reading them or do I unhaul them? That is the question. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again next week. Bye!